The discovery beneath. The rust-colored dust of Mars swirled around Dr. Isabella Harrison's boots as she made her way across the planet's desolate surface. The setting sun cast long shadows across the landscape, turning the rocky terrain into a maze of dark shapes and deeper mysteries. 20 years of geological surveys on Mars had taught her to trust her instincts, and something about today's readings was different. "Base, this is Harrison." She spoke into her helmet comm. "I'm picking up unusual energy signatures from the eastern ridge. Request permission to investigate." "Negative, Dr. Harrison," came the reply from Mission Control. "You're too far from base already. Return immediately." Isabella glanced at her suit's oxygen levels. 3 hours remaining. More than enough time. She smiled to herself, knowing that her reputation for stubbornness was well earned. "Sorry, base. You're breaking up." She switched off her comm and continued toward the ridge. The energy signature grew stronger as she approached, her handheld scanner's readings becoming more erratic. The formation ahead looked natural enough, a typical Martian cliff face worn by millennia of dust storms, but her instruments suggested otherwise. As she drew closer, she noticed subtle irregularities in the rock pattern, too precise to be natural. Isabella pressed her gloved hand against the surface, wiping away centuries of accumulated dust. Beneath it, she found something smooth and metallic. Her heart raced as she cleared more area, revealing what appeared to be a doorframe embedded in the rock face. "This is impossible," she whispered to herself. The official history of Mars claimed no advanced structures had ever been found. Yet here she stood before what could only be artificial construction. She ran her scanner over the revealed section, and suddenly, the ground beneath her feet began to vibrate. With a grinding sound that seemed deafening in the thin Martian atmosphere, a section of the cliff face slid away, revealing a dark passage beyond. Emergency lighting flickered to life along the corridor walls, casting an eerie blue glow that beckoned her forward. Isabella knew she should call this in, wait for backup, follow protocols. But 20 years of playing it safe had yielded nothing like this. She switched on her suit's external lights and stepped inside. The passage led to a vast chamber filled with technology unlike anything she'd ever seen. Rows of cylindrical pods lined the walls, their surfaces covered in intricate patterns that seemed to shift and change as she looked at them. Most were dark and obviously damaged, but one at the far end of the chamber pulsed with a faint purple light. As she approached the active pod, her scanner began to emit a high-pitched whine. The surface of the pod was transparent enough to see inside, and what she saw made her stumble backward in shock. There, suspended in some kind of liquid, was a humanoid figure. Its skin had a slight purple tinge, and its features were just different enough from human to be unmistakably alien. "Base," she called, switching her comm back on. "Base, this is Harrison. I need immediate backup at my location. I found something. Someone." Static was her only reply. The chamber's walls must have been blocking her signal. As she turned to leave and call for help, she noticed the pod's control panel coming to life, responding to her presence. Symbols she didn't recognize flashed across its surface, and the liquid inside began to drain. "No, no, no," Isabella muttered, frantically trying to stop whatever process she'd accidentally initiated. But it was too late. The pod's surface split down the middle and began to open with a soft hiss. The alien figure inside opened its eyes, golden irises with vertical pupils that fixed immediately on Isabella. She stepped out of the pod with fluid grace that suggested both strength and precision. She stood nearly 7 feet tall, her muscular frame covered in what appeared to be some kind of biomechanical armor. "I am Commander Nixus of the Martian Defense Force." The being spoke in perfect English, though her mouth moved strangely around the words. "You have awakened me. Why?" Isabella's scientific mind raced with questions even as her survival instincts screamed at her to run. I'm Dr. Isabella Harrison, Earth Science Division. This facility, we had no idea it existed. How are you speaking my language? Nixis touched a small device at her throat. Universal translator. Standard equipment for all command staff. Now, answer my question. Why have you awakened me? It was an accident, Isabella admitted. I found this place while investigating energy readings. I didn't mean to. Accident or not. Nixis interrupted, her golden eyes narrowing. You have reactivated the last surviving member of Mars Military Command. This has consequences. She moved to a nearby console, her fingers dancing across its surface. The chamber hummed to life around them, more systems activating with each passing second. What consequences? Isabella asked, trying to keep her voice steady. The war between Earth and Mars ended centuries ago. There's peace now. Nixis turned to her, expression unreadable. Peace. Is that what you call this? My world reduced to dust, my people gone, while yours claim our planet as their own. Her voice carried no anger, only a deep sadness that made Isabella's chest tighten. It doesn't have to be like that, Isabella found herself saying. We can learn from each other. The knowledge in this facility alone could revolutionize our understanding of Mars history. Before Nixis could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the chamber. The commander's fingers flew across the console again, and a holographic display appeared, showing multiple objects entering Mars' atmosphere. Your people move quickly, Nixis observed. Military vessels, armed, and on an intercept course. It seems they monitored your discovery more closely than you knew. Isabella felt her blood run cold. She hadn't reported anything yet. How could they know? Unless they've been watching me. All this time, they knew something was here. Then you have a choice to make, Dr. Harrison, Nixis said, turning to face her fully. Will you stand with your people as they attempt to seize what remains of mine? Or will you help me protect the legacy of Mars? As klaxons continued to sound and the ships drew closer, Isabella looked at the ancient warrior before her. 20 years of playing it safe had led to this moment. Perhaps it was time to trust her instincts one more time. Tell me what you need me to do, she said. A slight smile curved Nixis's lips. First, we seal this facility. Then we wake the others. Others? Isabella asked, her eyes widening. You didn't think I was the only one, did you? Trust and betrayal. The emergency lighting cast angular shadows across Nixis's face as she moved through the facility with practiced efficiency. Isabella struggled to keep pace, her bulky exploration suit limiting her mobility compared to the Martian commander's fluid movements. These others you mentioned, Isabella said, trying to control her breathing. Are they all soldiers like you? Scientists, engineers, leaders. Nix's fingers traced patterns across another control panel, bringing more systems online. When the war turned against us, we preserved our best and brightest. A final contingency. A massive door slid open before them, revealing a vast chamber that dwarfed the first. Hundreds of stasis pods lined the walls, stretching up into darkness. Unlike Nix's pod, these showed no signs of power or life. They're all dead, Nixis said quietly, her golden eyes reflecting the dim emergency lights. Life support failed centuries ago. I survived because my pod was connected to the facility's primary reactor. Isabella's suit computer chirped an alert. The ships are landing. 3 kilometers from our position and closing. Then we have no time to mourn, Nixis said, her expression hardening. She moved to a central console and began activating defense systems. Your people, they will come with weapons. Yes, Isabella admitted. Standard protocol for any first contact scenario. After the Europa incident, Earth's military takes no chances. She paused, watching Nixis work. But how do they know to come? I hadn't reported anything yet. Because, Dr. Harrison, a new voice crackled through her suit's comm. We've been waiting for this moment for a very long time. Isabella's blood ran cold. She knew that voice. Director Pierce. I'm disappointed, Isabella. 20 years of loyal service, and now you choose to side with it. The contempt in his voice when he said it made Isabella's skin crawl. "She's not an it," Isabella snapped. "She's a sentient being, and we have no right." "We have every right," Pierce interrupted. "This facility and everything in it belongs to Earth now, including the last Martian commander. You have 5 minutes to surrender before we breach the entrance." Nixis had stopped working at the console, her attention fixed on Isabella. "You know this man." "Thomas Pierce, director of the Mars Scientific Authority. My boss, technically." Isabella's mind raced. "But this isn't right. The MSA is a research organization. We don't have military authority. Your naivety would be charming if it weren't so dangerous." Pierce's voice came again. "The MSA has always been a front. Those energy readings you've been chasing for years. We've been guiding you, Dr. Harrison, leading you exactly where we needed you to go." The facility's sensors showed armed figures approaching the entrance. They moved with military precision. Not scientists or researchers, but trained soldiers. "All this time," Isabella whispered, "my whole career was carefully orchestrated," Pierce finished. "We knew this facility existed. We just needed someone with the right combination of skills and ethical flexibility to find it. Someone who would ignore direct orders when their curiosity got the better of them." Nix's hand fell on Isabella's shoulder, surprisingly gentle for a being of such strength. "He manipulated you, used your passion for discovery against you." 4 minutes, Pierce announced. Isabella looked up at Nixis, her decision made. "What are our options?" "We can activate the facility's defensive systems," Nixis said, returning to the console. "But many are degraded, unreliable. We need something more." "The archives," Isabella said suddenly. "You must have archives, research data. If we can prove what the MSA has done, expose their manipulation. They would kill us both before letting that information get out," Nixis interrupted. Her fingers flew across the console. "But you're thinking in the right direction. This facility houses more than just stasis pods. Follow me." They ran deeper into the facility, through corridors that seemed to come alive as they passed. Nixis explained as they moved. "During the war, we developed technology far beyond what either of our peoples now possess. Weapons, yes, but also shields, stealth systems, medical advances." 2 minutes, Pierce's voice reminded them. They entered a smaller chamber dominated by what looked like a massive quantum computer. "This," Nixis said, "contains the sum of Martian military knowledge. Interface with it, and—" An explosion rocked the facility. "Change of plans," Pierce announced. "We're coming in now." Nixis's biomechanical armor shifted, plates realigning themselves into a more combat-ready configuration. "Dr. Harrison, I need you to make a choice. Once I activate this system, there's no going back. Your people will brand you a traitor." Isabella thought of her 20 years of research, her reputation, her life's work, all of it built on lies. "They betrayed me first," she said. "Do it." Nixis pressed her palm against the computer's surface. Energy surged through the chamber, and Isabella gasped as information began flooding directly into her mind through her suit's neural interface. Martian language, technology, military tactics, decades of knowledge compressed into seconds. "Neural download complete," Nixis announced. "Now you know what I know, including how to access this." She pressed something into Isabella's hand. A small device that hummed with power. The sound of gunfire echoed through the corridors. "What is it?" Isabella asked, examining the device. A key to something they must never find. Nixis moved to the chamber's entrance, her armor's weapon systems coming online. "There's a transport tube in the lower levels. It leads to another facility, one they don't know about. Go. I'll hold them here." "I'm not leaving you," Isabella protested. Nixis turned to her, golden eyes fierce. "You're not leaving. You're carrying on the mission. Everything we were, everything we knew, it lives in you now. Don't let it die here." More explosions, closer now. Isabella could hear voices, boots on metal floors. She clutched the device tightly. "How will I find you?" "I'll find you," Nixus promised. "Now run." As Isabella sprinted toward the lower levels, the sound of combat erupted behind her. She realized with sudden clarity that she wasn't just running from Earth's forces. She was running toward something far bigger than herself. In her mind, Martian knowledge merged with human intuition, forming new possibilities, new solutions. Pierce had been right about one thing. They had chosen someone with the right combination of skills, but they hadn't counted on her choosing to use those skills against them. The transport tube hummed to life as she approached, responding to the device in her hand. As she stepped inside, Isabella Harrison, Earth scientist, now keeper of Mars' greatest secrets, allowed herself a small smile. The real war was just beginning. The hidden legacy. The transport tube deposited Isabella in a facility vastly different from the one she'd left. Where the first installation had been military in nature, this one hummed with the energy of pure scientific pursuit. Holographic displays flickered to life as she entered, responding to the device Nixus had given her. The neural download throbbed in her mind, translating symbols and schematics that would have been incomprehensible hours ago. This wasn't just a research station. It was the heart of Martian civilization's scientific achievements. Security breach detected at primary facility, an automated voice announced in ancient Martian, which Isabella now understood perfectly, initiating lockdown protocols. Her newly acquired knowledge guided her hands across control panels, interfacing with systems that hadn't been touched in centuries. Through the facility's sensors, she watched as Pierce's forces swarmed the upper installation. Nixus was nowhere to be seen. "Show me tactical display," Isabella commanded in Martian. The three-dimensional map materialized, revealing a network of similar facilities spread across the planet's surface. Most were dark, long dead, but three pulsed with faint energy signatures. "They're not just military bases," she muttered to herself. "They're nodes in a planetary defense network." The implications staggered her. If Pierce and the MSA got control of this system, they wouldn't just have advanced technology. They'd have the power to control Mars itself. A new alert flashed across the displays. "Incoming transmission. Encrypted channel." "Accept," Isabella said, heart pounding. "Dr. Harrison." Nixus's voice, strained but alive. "I've secured temporary shelter in the facility's sublevels. Pierce's forces are conducting a systematic search, but they don't understand our technology well enough to detect me." "Are you hurt?" "Nothing critical. My armor's regenerative systems are functional." A pause. "Have you accessed the archives?" "Yes, but Nixus, this is bigger than we thought. These facilities, they're all connected. They're part of some larger system." "The Aegis network," Nixus confirmed. "Our last line of defense, designed to protect Mars from any existential threat. We never activated it during the war. The power requirements would have revealed all our hidden installations." Heavy gunfire echoed through the transmission. "Pierce's forces are becoming more thorough," Nixus observed. "I need you to listen carefully. The device I gave you isn't just a key. It's a fail-safe. If the network detects unauthorized access attempts, it will initiate a cascade failure that will destroy every facility simultaneously." Isabella's blood ran cold. "Including this one, with us inside?" "If necessary, yes. Our knowledge cannot fall into the wrong hands. The cost would be too high." More gunfire, closer now. "They're coming," Nixus said tersely. "I need to move. Find the primary control center." The transmission cut off. Isabella forced down her panic and focused on the facility's layout. The neural download had given her knowledge, but not wisdom. She needed to think this through carefully. She made her way deeper into the facility, passing laboratories filled with technology that could revolutionize human science. Medical bays with regeneration chambers that could cure any illness. Power generators that could end Earth's energy crisis overnight. But she also saw weapons. Devices that could tear apart matter at the subatomic level. biological agents designed to target specific genetic markers. The Martians had created wonders and horrors in equal measure. A new alert drew her attention. Earth ships were launching from the surface, spreading out across the planet. They were looking for the other facilities. "Display internal security feeds," she commanded. The screen showed Pierce's forces methodically working their way through the first facility systems. They had brought scientists with them, ones she recognized from the MSA, colleagues who had been part of the deception all along. "Dr. Harrison." Pierce's voice crackled through her suit's comm. "If you're watching, and I know you are, consider your options carefully. That Martian is using you. Do you really think it cares about cooperation? About peace? It's a soldier designed for war." Isabella accessed another terminal, diving deeper into the facility's archives. "And what about you, Director? 20 years of lies. Was any of my research real?" "All of it was real. Your discoveries have been invaluable. They led us here, after all." His voice softened. "It's not too late. Help us understand this technology. Think of what humanity could achieve." "You mean what the MSA could control," she replied, her fingers flying across the console as she pieced together the facility's true purpose. "I found the requisition orders, Director. The military contracts. You're not interested in advancement. You want weapons. We want security." Pierce snapped. "Protection from whatever else is out there. The Europa incident proved we're not alone, and not everyone we meet will be friendly. The Martians built an arsenal that could ensure humanity's survival. Are you really willing to let that go to waste out of some misplaced loyalty to a dead civilization?" Isabella was about to respond when she found it. The true purpose of the Aegis network. Her eyes widened as she read the specifications. "Oh God," she whispered. "What is it?" Pierce demanded. "What did you find?" But Isabella wasn't listening anymore. The Martian knowledge in her mind was connecting dots, revealing a pattern she should have seen sooner. The facilities weren't a defense network. They were components of something much larger. "Security breach in Sector 7. The automated system announced. Unknown entities attempting access." Isabella pulled up the security feeds. Pierce's forces had found something. A sealed chamber they were trying to breach. And in the corner of the frame, barely visible in the shadows, she saw Nixus moving into position. She had to make a choice. The fail-safe device felt heavy in her hand. One command would end this, destroying all the facilities and their secrets. But as she read more about the Aegis network's true purpose, she realized there had to be another way. Isabella took a deep breath and began typing. If she was right about what the Martians had built, there might be a chance to save everyone, humans and the last remnants of Mars alike. But she would have to work fast, and she would have to trust that Nixus would understand what she was about to do. "I'm sorry, Director," she said into her comm, "but I'm not helping you start another war." She entered the final command sequence, and deep beneath the Martian surface, ancient machinery began to awaken. Rising storm. The facility shuddered as ancient systems surged to life. Isabella's command had awakened something vast, something that hadn't stirred in centuries. Through the neural interface, she felt the Aegis network expanding, connecting, remembering. Warning, the automated system announced. Primary terraforming protocols initiating. Atmospheric reconstruction sequence engage. Isabella's eyes widened as she finally understood. The Aegis network wasn't a weapon. It was a planetary engineering system. The Martians hadn't built it to destroy. They'd built it to restore. "Harrison." Pierce's voice crackled with panic. "What did you do?" The facility's sensors showed massive energy signatures erupting across Mars's surface as the other nodes activated. Deep underground, ancient machines began processing the planet's core, releasing trapped gases into the thin atmosphere. "She's activated the Genesis protocol." Nix's voice came through suddenly, filled with awe. "After all these centuries, what's happening?" Pierce demanded. "My ships are reporting geological disturbances across the entire planet. Isabella watched the data streams with growing excitement. The Martians didn't lose their world to war, Director. They sacrificed it. They shut down the terraforming network and let their atmosphere fade to protect something even more valuable. Through the security feeds, she saw Nixis emerge from hiding, her armor's weapons powered down. The Earth forces surrounded her, but she made no hostile moves. "Your ancestors were coming," Nixis announced, her voice carrying to all channels. "We knew we couldn't win a direct confrontation, so we hid our greatest achievement, the technology to transform worlds. We let Mars die rather than let it become a weapon." The facility's displays showed atmospheric density increasing. Frozen carbon dioxide at the poles began sublimating, releasing trapped gases. It would take years, but the process was beginning. Mars was awakening. "Do you understand now, Director?" Isabella asked. The Martians could have turned this technology against Earth during the war. Instead, they chose to preserve it, hoping someday it could be used for its true purpose. Pierce's forces were falling back, clearly unsure how to proceed. The ground continued to shake as massive underground complexes activated, beginning the long process of planetary rehabilitation. "If what you're saying is true," Pierce said slowly, "this technology could transform every world in the solar system. Make them habitable, or destroy them," Nixis added. "The same processes that can create life can unmake it. That's why we hid it. That's why we waited for someone who would understand its true value." Isabella moved through the facility, heading toward the main chamber where Nixis and the Earth forces had gathered. The neural download was showing her more now. Detailed plans for planetary engineering, atmospheric processing, geological restructuring. The Martians had mastered the art of creating life-sustaining worlds. "The choice is yours, Director," Isabella said as she entered the chamber. "We can collaborate, learn from each other, use this technology to expand human civilization sustainably, or you can try to take it by force and risk destroying everything." Pierce stood with his forces, looking older and more uncertain than Isabella had ever seen him. Around them, the facility hummed with power as centuries-old machinery continued its work. "The Europa incident changed everything," he said quietly. "We found hostile life out there. We needed a way to protect ourselves. And you'll have it," Nixis replied. "But not through weapons. Through this." She gestured at the facility around them. "The ability to create habitable worlds means humanity never needs to fight over resources again. You can expand across the stars without conquest." The ground shook again, and new alerts flashed across the displays. "Warning," the system announced. "Atmospheric density reaching critical threshold. Surface pressure increasing." "It's happening faster than it should," Isabella realized, rushing to a console. "The system's been dormant too long. The protocols are unstable." "Can you stop it?" Pierce asked, professional facade cracking. "Stop it." Nixis moved to join Isabella at the console. "If we stop it now, the backlash could tear the planet apart. We need to guide it, control it." Isabella's fingers flew across the controls, trying to moderate the transformation. "The other facilities, they're all reporting similar instabilities. We need more hands, more minds." Pierce looked at his forces, then at the two women working to save Mars. Decades of military planning and secret agendas hung in the balance. Finally, he made his decision. "All units," he commanded, "assist Dr. Harrison and the Martian commander. Full cooperation. Now." The chamber burst into activity as Earth's soldiers and scientists joined forces with the last survivors of Mars' civilization. Through the neural interface, Isabella guided them, sharing the ancient knowledge that now lived in her mind. But as they worked to stabilize the planetary transformation, none of them noticed a new alert flashing on a distant screen. Something else had awakened in Mars' depths, something the Martians had hidden for a very different reason. And it was rising. Unity's dawn. Deep beneath the Martian surface, Isabella felt the vibrations before anyone else. The neural interface connected her not just to the facility's systems, but to the planet itself. Something massive was moving through the ancient tunnels, disturbed by the planetary transformation. "Nixus," she called out, "there's something else down here, something you haven't told me about." The Martian commander's golden eyes darkened. The Guardian. It was supposed to remain dormant unless... She rushed to a nearby console, her armor sensors pulsing with urgent readings. "Unless what?" Pierce demanded, but his question was answered by a deafening roar that shook the entire facility. The security feeds showed it, a massive biomechanical entity rising from the depths. Part machine, part living tissue, it was the size of a small spacecraft. Its surface rippled with defensive systems and weapons far more advanced than anything in the facility. "The final defense," Nixus explained quickly. If the terraforming system ever activated too quickly, the Guardian was meant to shut it down. Forcefully. "And how exactly does it do that?" Isabella asked, though she feared she already knew the answer. "By destroying the facilities. All of them. It will reset Mars to prevent catastrophic transformation." Nix's fingers flew across the console. "We have perhaps an hour before it reaches the surface." Pierce barked orders into his comm. "All ships, battle stations. Unknown hostile entity emerging from Sector 7. "No," Isabella and Nixus shouted simultaneously. "If you attack it," Nixus explained, "it will perceive humanity as a threat and respond accordingly, with enough firepower to destroy every settlement on Mars." The Guardian's roar echoed through the tunnels again, closer now. Isabella studied the data streaming through her neural interface, seeing the pattern emerge. "We can't fight it," she realized. "But we can prove we're worthy of this technology. Show it we can handle it responsibly." She turned to Pierce. "Order your ships to stand down. Completely. And risk everything. If that thing reaches the surface." "Trust me," Isabella interrupted. "Please, one last time." Pierce hesitated, then nodded slowly. "All units, stand down. Full withdrawal to minimum safe distance." As Earth's forces pulled back, Isabella and Nixus worked furiously at the facility's controls. The terraforming process was still accelerating, but now they weren't trying to stop it. They were guiding it, shaping it with precise control that showed mastery rather than desperation. "The Guardian isn't just a defense system," Isabella explained as they worked. "It's a test. The Martians didn't just want to preserve this technology. They wanted to ensure it would only be used by those who understood its true purpose." The facility shuddered as the Guardian drew nearer. Through the neural interface, Isabella could sense its ancient intelligence evaluating them, measuring their actions against criteria set down centuries ago. "Life," Nixus said quietly, understanding dawning in her golden eyes. "Not weapons, not power, not control. The creation and preservation of life itself. That was always our highest achievement." Isabella nodded, her hands moving in perfect synchronization, with Nixus across the controls. "A species that tries to seize this power by force proves they're not ready for it. But working together, showing restraint and understanding." The Guardian burst through the chamber's floor, its massive form filling the space. Points of light across its surface analyzed them, scanned the facility, measured the carefully controlled terraforming process. For a moment that seemed to stretch forever, everyone held their breath. Then, slowly, the Guardian's weapons powered down. Its surface shifted, revealing an interface panel that pulsed with soft blue light. "It's accepting us," Nixus breathed. "Both of us. Together." Isabella stepped forward with Nixus, their hands meeting on the Guardian's interface. Energy flowed between them, between all three intelligences, human, Martian, and the ancient Guardian itself. Through their connection, Isabella saw the Martian's true vision. A solar system teeming with life, multiple civilizations working together to spread consciousness across the stars. This was never about Mars alone, she realized. It was about all of us, what we could become together. The Guardian's presence merged with the terraforming network, its vast intelligence helping to stabilize the planetary transformation. On the facility's displays, they watched as Mars began its controlled awakening. The process would take years, but it would happen safely now, guided by the combined wisdom of two civilizations. Pierce approached slowly, his expression a mixture of awe and understanding. "I thought we needed weapons to survive the future," he said. "But this is better. This is how humanity moves forward." "Not humanity alone," Isabella corrected him, looking at Nixus. "All of us. Together." The Martian commander smiled, the first true smile Isabella had seen from her. "My people waited centuries for this moment, for someone who would understand that power isn't about destruction or control. It's about creation, about life." Above them, through the facility's sensors, they could see the Martian atmosphere already beginning to thicken. Centuries-old ice was melting, releasing trapped gases and minerals vital to life. And in the depths of space, the other planets waited, worlds that could one day harbor new civilizations, new possibilities. "So," Isabella said, looking at the humans and the last Martian gathered in the chamber, "where do we go from here?" Nixus's golden eyes gleamed with possibility. "Everywhere," she said simply. "We go everywhere." The Guardian hummed in agreement, its ancient systems synchronizing with the planetary network. As Mars continued its transformation around them, Isabella realized that this wasn't just an ending, it was a beginning. The first step toward a future that the Martians had dreamed of and died protecting, now finally within reach. Together, they would make it reality.